Joe Biden has signed an executive order protecting the travel for abortion. So, the abortion debate is still ongoing in this country. Obviously, we just recently had the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We're still seeing a lot of the fallout from that as states, go forward with the choices that they now have. Now that the federal government has stepped away from Roe v. Wade and the precedent that it set for the past 50 years, as people keep bringing up. But now that it is gone, this is what Joe Biden thinks he has to do, I guess. Now, what does it do exactly? Well, it does a couple things. Now, I have it up here in the corner. I just went through it, and now the wording isn't exact on what they plan on doing, but it does sound like it could be bad for states that aren't exactly okay with abortion. It protects women who seek out abortions, they're coming from a state that has banned it in one way or another, and they're going to states that allow it for whatever reason. And Joe Biden wants to protect these women. Now, what women would be doing this? Well, this would be women that are getting elective abortions, because if it is a miscarriage, if it's stillborn, if it in any way threatens the life of the mother, those scenarios, that's fine. The first two, not even being an abortion, miscarriage and stillbirth, stillborn, those are not abortions. So those wouldn't fall under any of the laws that these states have passed. And I certainly hope that they wouldn't anyways. I know I've seen a few stories that I might need to look into regarding women not being able to access abortion even though the baby is stillborn. I'm not really sure how that works because it's not the same thing. The CDC classifies abortion. Let's see. How does the CDC define abortion? For the purposes of surveillance, a legal induced abortion is defined as an intervention performed by a licensed clinician, I suck at speaking, within the limits of state regulations that is intended to terminate a suspected or known ongoing intrauterine pregnancy. I butchered that word, but it basically just means a pregnancy occurring within the woman, within her uterus. So a healthy pregnancy, and that does not result in a live birth. So it specifically says, if you look at the wording, that it's talking about a healthy, normal pregnancy. That's what this intrauterine, like Google the word, Google the definition. It literally just means that it's in the uterus, so that means that it's a normal pregnancy. And then it says does not result in a live birth. So it specifically mentions that the embryo or the fetus, whatever you want to call it, is alive. It's a life within the mother. Then it's growing, it's developing. So an abortion results in it not being alive anymore and removing it. Just removing it isn't an abortion, because if it dies naturally, it's labeled something else. It's a miscarriage, or it's a stillborn or a stillbirth, which I have definitions for that as well that I'll bring up later. But going back into this, so what does it do? Well, the executive order you can go find on the White House, the .gov website. You can go read it for yourself, and it does basically what I said. It protects women going out and seeking elective abortions. So Texas has their heartbeat bill, for example. So a woman who wants to get an abortion, she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't. The baby already has a heartbeat. We're not going to perform the abortion. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go to, I don't know, California, Colorado, New York, wherever, right? So she goes there. She gets the abortion performed. This executive order, basically, he wants to strengthen the data collection for, things relating to pregnancy and abortion and stuff like that, which I actually think is good. More information is never a bad thing, and I've said that in previous videos. So more information on pregnancies and just everything revolving around abortions in general. Yeah, let's get more data on that. I'm all for that. But it also talks about the wording in here, I am a little worried. I need to see if I can find it. Let's see. So I'm gonna have to find it in here again. Let's see. So they want to strengthen non-discrimination in healthcare as well, and then they also want to help inform companies that provide what is it, contraceptives and stuff like that. Basically, they just want to help people understand where to go from Roe v. Wade, I guess, with performing abortions and the laws that they need to follow and stuff like that, depending on the states they're in. Which, again, I'm fine with that. If you want to make people more aware of the laws that affect them, sure, that's why not? Makes sense. But that's not what I was looking for. What I was looking for is the data privacy stuff. So a lot of the wording in here sounds kind of like they want to get women to be able to go have their abortion and then not have to state why or give publicly why they're doing it, which I don't really agree with. Let's see. I still can't find it. All right. I know it's somewhere in here, but basically, from what I was reading, you can go read it yourself. That it sounds kind of like they want to protect women from getting their information collected, but it depends on what they don't really. Oh wait, I think it's right here. Guidance to address how HIPAA's privacy rule protects the privacy of individuals' protected health information, including information related to reproductive health care. The guidance helps ensure doctors and other medical providers and health plans know that, with limited exceptions, they are not required and in many cases are not permitted to disclose patients' private information, including to law enforcement. So that's what I was getting at. So, including to law enforcement. So back to my example with Texas. So let's say a mother is 5-6 months along. The relationship she's in isn't working out, and she's like, I don't want to give birth to this child anymore. I don't want to be tied to this guy. So she in Texas, they're not going to let her go kill a healthy baby. So she goes to another state. Well, basically what I'm understanding from this, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below or on Twitter. Find me on Twitter. I'm always talking to people on there. And what it sounds like to me is the Biden administration wants to protect women from murdering or protect them while they murder their babies, is I guess how you would put it. Because, I mean, why even to law enforcement? So a woman goes and gets an abortion and the law enforcement's like, hey, what happened to this woman? The doctor's like, I'm sorry, I can't disclose that information. So you can't disclose the information that you murdered somebody. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I just don't. And they also mention creating a task force, a federal task force to help enforce this. And I don't know, it just sounds like things are escalating in this country. If a woman doesn't agree with the laws of where she lives, move. Why are you trying to go out? Like you're trying to use a loophole, and that loophole being traveling to another state with different laws. That's like someone I don't know, what's a good example? That I don't know what states outlaw marijuana, but it's like traveling from a state that outlaws marijuana and then going to California or something like that and just buying tons of it and then coming back and being like, what, I didn't break the law. No, you did. You broke the law. The law says this clearly, and you went out of your way to go somewhere where it doesn't say that, just so you can work around that, even though your residence is in that state where it's illegal. Now, whether or not the law is just, that doesn't matter. You still worked your way around it. I fully agree with legalization of marijuana, but if you go from a state that makes it illegal to a state that legalizes it just to get it, just move to the state that you agree with. Don't work around the laws of where you live. Like, they're laws for a reason. You shouldn't be working around them. If the community has decided that something's not okay, and you don't agree with that community, move away, go away from the community. They don't want you there anyway. And for example, I guess that could be a good segue into this next story. So I saw this pop up on Twitter yesterday, and I don't know. I hope that this county, is successful, I guess. This Orange County city to consider banning abortions becoming sanctuary for life. So I went through the whole write-up, the draft for this resolution, and I gotta say I completely agree with the resolution. I would hope that this becomes just the standard across the entire nation. Now, of course, it's not, because people still deny that life begins at conception, while no one has been able to give me another time in which life begins that makes sense. You cannot. I have not been given a single argument. You can go look on Twitter. I talk with all sorts of people on purpose. I like having conversations. That's why I make these videos. I like having conversations. I like talking, even if I'm bad at talking sometimes. I like talking. I like expressing my mind and figuring out the world around me. And you can't do that by staying quiet. You can't do that by not asking questions. You need to ask questions. You need to have conversations with people, and that's what I'm trying to do. So Twitter isn't the best place for that, but it's definitely better than nothing. I would say most days I would say that anyway. I mean, of course you are gonna get those conversations that are just a complete waste of time. The person has nothing of value to add, and they're not even reading what you're saying. I mean, they might even be bots. They probably are. My girlfriend often likes to joke about that. I'll be like, this guy just said some nonsense again. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even reply to what I just said. And she's like, it's probably a bot. And I'm like, you're probably right, because most of them probably are bots that talk to me. Because I don't have a big Twitter following, but at the same time, like, some of them have interesting things to say, so I respond. But I don't know. I guess you can tell the real people from the fake ones, because the most of the real people will just insult me and say nonsense and then not argue with me. They'll just call me names, or say that I should have been aborted or something, which has been a lot of the conversations. But so let me go into what this actually does. Now, this LA Times article is pretty hilarious, if I can add. And it says, let's see, where was it? They have a quote in here I just wanted to read off. Oh, wait. It also provides an exception for abortions in cases in which the mother's life is at stake, and in cases of rape and incest, stating that the council will remain neutral. So, Los Angeles Times, their problem is that women can't get abortions otherwise. And what are those other reasons? I'll get to the quote in a second. What are those other reasons? If not for the life of the mother, which the life of the mother always comes first. Now, we should try to save the baby, of course, but if that isn't an option, then it's not an option, and you just end it. You gotta kill the baby to save the mother. If that's what you have to do, do it, because the mother's life comes first, and most people would agree with that. Even people that are pro-life. Even most pro-life people will say that. They'll say that the life of the mother in that case should come first. The baby doesn't come before the mother. Now, with rape, I agree there. You should give the woman, quite a while, I would say, to, get an abortion for the cases of rape or incest, because like they say in the bill, both of them are crimes, and them being crimes, you shouldn't be forced to carry out the pregnancy because you didn't consent to that. And that's been my whole argument is, well, rape and incest, that's generally incest is also rape. So, unless it's for some reason, two consenting adults of the same family. That's just disgusting. Now, in that case, I don't think you should be killing babies just because they might come out with birth defects. That sounds more like eugenics. But if it's like a dad who's having incest with someone under the age of 18, that's just, I mean, in general, that's disgusting. But I don't want to kill people just because they have mental defects. That just sounds horrible to me. I'm always going to err on the side of life. But incest being a horrible, disgusting thing, I understand why it is an exception, just like rape. I fully understand that exception. Like I said, I agree with what they wrote here. Rape, incest, life of the mother. What would be the other reason for getting an abortion? Well, we have some list here. We have a list here. So this is by percentage. This is from the Guttmacher Institute. They surveyed 957 people. It was in 2004. So it's almost 20 years old. I couldn't find anything more recent. So hopefully the executive order that Joe Biden just put out does help us gather more information, because I would like to know. I would like to know in 2022, what are these percentages? Because obviously they're going to change from year to year, month to month. And I would like to know what our current numbers are. But right now, these are the only numbers that I could find that, actually were actually numbers like this. So let's go here. So the highest percentage was not ready for a child. Not a reason to kill a baby. 23% said can't afford a baby. Not a reason to kill a baby. Done having children. Not a reason to kill a baby. Don't want to be a single mother. Not a reason to kill a baby. Not mature enough to raise a child. Not a reason to kill a baby. Would interfere with education or career. Not a reason to kill a baby. What is other? Other reasons not to kill a baby? Physical health problems. I'm assuming that would be with the mother, which, okay, that's fair. And that's only 4%. That's a low number. That's a fair reason to get an abortion. Fetal health problems. What does that mean? Because if the baby is having health problems, why would we end its life sooner? Wouldn't we try to help it? I don't know if I really agree with that one. And I've heard that one too. It's like, oh, the baby's gonna born and die immediately, and it feels all that pain. I'm like, okay, well, shouldn't we try to help it? Shouldn't we try to prolong its life? Shouldn't we give it, love and stuff like that? Why should it only feel pain and then we just end its life? Like, we shouldn't even try to save it. We shouldn't even try to help it. Just kill it. So I'm not, I'm not really decided on that one. In terms of the health of the baby, I think we should always err on the side of life and try to save life. That's what I think. And then victims of rape, that's less than 1%. So people bringing that up to justify the other, at least, what is this, 70%? Something like that. Just quick math in my head. That's 70-80% of abortions that are not rape, physical health problems, or fetal health problems. So more than the majority. What is more than the majority? That's just the majority. The majority of abortions are not good reasons to kill a baby. That's just what it is. But I guess what it comes down to is, do you believe it is a life? And recent conversations I have had with the people on Twitter would suggest that no, they don't believe it is a life. But when does life begin otherwise? I don't think you can give me a consistent line. My consistent line for when life begins is when the sperm enters the egg of a female, or the male sperm enters the egg of a female, and a new genetic code is created. Once that new genetic code is created, that is the beginning of human life. You have begun the development of a human being that is a person. It's a person at its early stages of development, and to suggest otherwise is ridiculous. They want to call people science deniers for not taking the vaccine, but this is denying science, denying the fact that new genetic code, new life has been created.
sperm and eggs are life, but they're not valued on the same level as human life. That's why when they're brought together and they form that new genetic code, the genetic code being that of a human, we value it more than just them separately. And then when else would be the line for when life begins? Now, the answers that I've been given, give me some better ones if you have them, is viability and first breath. Now, first breath would mean what? Taking in oxygen, breathing air, right? Well, it's already getting that from the mother. It's attached to the mother via the umbilical cord. And I'm not a doctor. There might be more to it than that. I'm just very baseline, description. It's attached via the umbilical cord. It's currently receiving oxygen through the mother. So that doesn't line up. That's not consistent. And, like first breath for, breathing, like why does it need to breathe to be alive? Like, it's not very consistent. It's clearly breathing. It's clearly getting oxygen before that point. That doesn't make sense. And then the other one is viability, but it's viability of what? Viable to live outside the womb is usually what I hear, but it's already living inside of the womb, right? Viable to live outside the womb. Okay, where is it currently? It is currently living inside of the womb. So it's alive before it's viable. So that doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And I think I agree with Tim Pool when he says that people that refute that are just lying to me, because there is no other consistent line for when human life begins. And I'll go back to my stance on abortion. Rape, incest, yeah, kill the baby if you want to. At some point, we're going to have to draw a line. I like Texas's line of heartbeat. Once you can detect its heartbeat, then it's a person or whatever. I guess that's a good concession to make for these pro-choice people. And I would consider myself pro-choice because I think you should be able to get an abortion within those first few weeks, before it has a heartbeat or anything like that. If you can do it within that first month and a half, 2-month period, maybe just month and a half, like very, very early on, I don't see a problem with that. But anything after that, it's impossible to deny that it's a developing baby. It's a developing baby before that. But, accidents happen. Contraceptives don't always work. And, I think people should still have access to that. And you need to be aware of your body and what you're doing with your body. And, people, like I said, like to bring up rape. But if you consented to sex, the purpose of sex is to procreate. You're making, you're progressing our society forward by providing offspring. The whole reason we have sex is to produce offspring. Sex being pleasurable or fun to do has nothing to do with that. There's plenty of things that couples can do together, or, if you want more than just you and your significant other, there's plenty of things for you guys to do together that doesn't involve, the impregnation of a woman, there's just tons of things you can do that doesn't involve the possibility of conception. That's the whole thing you need to avoid, is conceiving the child. And people just can't restrain themselves. They don't have self-discipline anymore. And the other thing I hear is, so I do want to give this definition, is people will say, well, banning abortion also, past a certain point also limits people that have miscarriages or stillbirths, stillborns, or anything like that. And if it did, that's fucking stupid and should be changed. But I don't think it does. I tried to Google, this stuff, and I tried to do some. Well, I didn't Google it. I tried to Brave it. I used Brave, and I was trying to find what you would call it, and it's just called a stillbirth. It's called a stillbirth. It says it right here from the CDC.gov. A stillbirth. My camera just went out. Hang on. No, I'll just read it. You don't need to see my face. So the camera just went out. Whatever. A stillbirth is the death or a loss of a baby before or during delivery. Both miscarriage and stillbirth describe pregnancy loss, but they differ according to when the loss occurs. In the United States, a miscarriage is usually defined as loss of a baby before the 20th week of pregnancy, and a stillbirth is loss of a baby at or after 20 weeks of pregnancy. Stillbirth is further classified as either early, late, or term. An early stillbirth is a fetal death occurring between 20 and 27 weeks of pregnancy. Late stillbirth and a term stillbirth. Okay, so these are separate medical terms. These are not abortions. They're not getting abortions when these need to be removed. I showed earlier that an abortion specifically says live birth. And yeah, that's it. And I don't really know where we go from here. It just seems like things are escalating with this executive order. You know, it does do a few things that I agree with, but the secrecy of getting these abortions and, you know, protecting women going across state lines, avoiding laws and stuff like that, I don't see how that is going to improve tensions in this country. I, in fact, think it's going to, you know, make it worse. I think it's just going to hasten the speed at which we split apart and the speed at which we might see a civil war if we aren't already. In, you know, 100 years from now, they might look back and be like, yeah, you know, that was a civil war. Those early stages of a civil war. And we don't even know it yet. But this stuff right here is how it happens. This is how states start going to war. And I am not ready for it. Now, you know, it's got to happen in one of our lifetimes, one of our generations, and I don't want it to be my generation that has to deal with this shit, but it seems like it might be. And I guess I'm as ready as I'll ever be, because it's coming whether I want it to or not. And, you know, these people have to wake up eventually to what they're doing, right? Like, they have to wake up eventually and realize that it's a baby. It is a baby. It's a human. It's a person. It's deserving of rights. It says it right here in the first few lines. The city of San Clemente stands in agreement with the Supreme Court. Here it is. The Declaration of Independence affirms that all men are created equal and have been endowed by the Creator with inalienable rights, chief among them the right to life, and that the protection of these rights is affirmative duty of federal, state, and local governments. Now, that has been the biggest argument I have had for arguing against abortion. Conception is the beginning of life. The role of government is to defend life. If they aren't defending life when at the earliest stages, what makes you think they'll defend it at its latest, at its halfway through its, you know, life, you know, early stages of life? What makes you think they'll defend you at all? I don't have faith in my government. I have my own weapons, my own means of defending myself. But the people that can't defend themselves, we need the government for them. We need the police. We need all that. And if these people aren't defending life at its most basic stage, when are they going to defend it? I don't think they will. Well, I'm going to leave the video here. I know my camera died on me. I forgot to charge it, but I was on a roll and I didn't want to stop and pause it. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any tips on how to make my videos better, tips on videos to make, you know, stuff like that, hit me up on Twitter at TylerTodayYT, or, you know, comment down below. And if you like the content I'm making, you know, hit a like on the video and subscribe. Maybe hit the notification bell. I know I haven't recorded or uploaded it at all lately, but, you know, between work, health problems, and life, I got busy, and this doesn't make me money. So I'm gonna do this whenever I feel like it, and you know, it's pretty fun to make these videos. I like talking about these topics. I like what is it? I like delving into why I believe these things, because I think it's important to be able to express why you believe something. And if you can't express why you believe something, you probably shouldn't believe it. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace out.